Welcome back, everyone. I'm the Depressed Viewer, and this is Langrisser Mobile Apex Season 14. I did have a loss prior to this match. It was against essentially a full-on rush AoE box with Akaya, and I should have really banned Akaya, and I didn't. So, besides that, this opponent here is an all-female box, so respect. This week is the week that Sagani came out, who's a kind of a crazy long-range archer nuker type character. Actually, I think he's a spellcaster. I don't know, but essentially, he can summon an owl that can be used as a focal point for his single targets and his AOE's, making him pretty brutal, at least from what I saw in the Chinese matches. But I didn't encounter him yet. There's also some other guy, which is I guess Sagani's father, I think. That's like a centaur guy, which didn't really get much play in the Chinese servers. There's been notes about his exclusive that came out, that's coming out over there for him. That supposedly will make him a lot better, but for right now, he's not much of a game changer. Anyway, no changes to the box. I'm gonna be like 2 weeks, I think, 1 or 2 weeks away from getting the Awakened to 6 stars. Other than that, no real updates. And as for my opponent's box, it has 3 tanks. Yeah, 3 tanks. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 healers. 5 healers and a lot of characters that can also do sub-healing. So quite a bit to mess with. I think this might be our first box that we've gone up against that I've shown on recording that has Lugner. He's kind of annoying to deal with because of his Sin mechanic. Beyond that, there's not much else that stands out. I did ban Christiane immediately because her aura is going to reduce my magic damage. Everything else here is not the end of the world. I'm mostly concerned about whether or not my opponent's going to pick Rosenseal or Alma first. Or Elma, sorry, first. If that happens, the match is going to become a lot more difficult for me since I'm mostly AoE now. My opponent goes straight for Rosenseal. And they grab Lightbringer, which is perfect. So at this point, actually this worked out rather well. That's the disadvantage of going 3 tank, because I can just pick a tank as the opener, and it forces my opponent to pick a tank. So, as predicted, my opponent picked a tank, and then I got rid of both the 2 healers that were going to cause me the most issue with my particular box. They still have plenty of healers, so they can pick whatever they want afterwards, but getting rid of the reflection and the crystal barriers was pretty important. Alright, I go ahead and pick the Awakened. And my opponent goes ahead and nabs another healer, gets rid of Kyura, which makes sense. They grab their Kyura. So at this point, I go ahead and get rid of Lugner. At this point, there's only 2 primary healers left, so my opponent will want to grab one if they actually want one. I also got rid of Agnes because her long-range AoE was just going to cause me additional pain. And she also does passive healing, so I'm trying to minimize the passive healing as much as I can. I go ahead and pick up Sophia. They start banning my AoE, not surprised. Gets rid of Agnes, so I lose one of my remaining passive heals, essentially. They go ahead and grab Liana. At this point, I start getting rid of their AoEs as much as I can. I get rid of Mariandel because of her ability to do really nasty AoEs on top of healing while doing it. Not much else I can do about that. I go ahead and grab Christiane at this point. I think I still had 4 tanks, but at this point, if my opponent decides to ban, the way the ban pick was going to work out, I was going to get reduced down to practically no DPS anyway. So I go ahead and grab Christiane to help minimize the amount of magic damage I'll be taking. So they go ahead and ban my remaining healer, gets rid of Lucretia. They go ahead and grab their other healer. And at this point, I go ahead and get rid of the Awakened, get rid of... I don't remember which one she is. She's another one of those KA names, so Kagura or Kyura, one of those. Go ahead and get rid of her. There wasn't... I had some really bad luck fighting against her because of her ability to kind of clock procs a lot more with her her weird card mechanics that can bolster her armor proc rates. The Awaken is also just overall really annoying to deal with, and I didn't have a way of preventing the the time debuffs that she'll throw out, and then she can use that to swap, which will be really dangerous. So as much as I hate dealing with the portals, this was kind of the safest option. I go ahead and grab Polio. She does physical AoE, which can kind of help me a little bit, but she also has the ability to suplex characters away from Lightbringer. Also, she can drag people away or just potentially stun, so that was kind of my intention there. I lose my remaining DPS. I lose Hilda, so I have 2 tanks remaining. So they go ahead and grab Autumn Kelmo, and I'm going to go ahead and grab Lightbringer, which is actually really good for me because that means I have full buff coverage. Alright, so Fighting Monks, Liana here, nothing too special. 3C, act again, heal. Kyra did bring Faceless. She is Holy Class, which means she's not as effective as far as offense is concerned. Does have all the guard bypass and then Faith on top of that. Sophia here, pretty standard rewind with 3C and heal, Fighting Monks. Autumn Kelmo brought Deck Gunners, which is actually a pretty good counter against the Angels that Christiane has. You got Fireballs, Black Holes, and Dimensional Explosion, so pretty standard there. The Fireball is actually kind of dangerous, because the Deck Gunners are going to shoot down my Angels, and then the Fireball is going to really, really hurt Christiane. Over here for Lightbringer, we have Templar Knights. Mainly just did it for the extra M defense, which actually worked pretty well against their Lightbringer who brought Infantry. So that kind of works out. Besides that, our skills are the same, and technically my stats are better. She has better offensive stats, but I have better HP, it looks like. Anyway, Sophia here, I went with Mass Heal, just to kind of maximize my healing and Dispel potential, because I'm going to be dealing with a lot of debuffs from the portals. The Awakened one, I went with just her standard kit, Crystal Warlocks, Black Hole, 3C, swap. Polyol, I did swap in Trent Guard. I didn't really have very many options I felt comfortable with for troops, so I went with Trent Guards, which have better M defense, and they can also get a pretty big boost at 100% HP. Beyond that, 3C, Self-Res, and Brute Strength, for the reasons I mentioned before. Angels, Standard Kit, 3C, Floral Realm, and her Aura. So yeah. So the big thing here is whether or not I can survive Kyura's assassinations, and then just enduring Autumn Kelmo. As long as Kyura is alive, I'm going to have some issues dealing with the guard bypassing attacks. So I need to keep myself topped up as much as possible and hope I can endure. So I also need to take the center as quickly as possible since both of us are kind of tank pushing. My opponent has more healers, but I have more tanks. So I go ahead and open since I'm not going to really have to worry about being attacked too soon. I kind of just start pushing forward. So one thing to note, this Kyura does have the helmet that can provide static, which can make them immune to displacement. So as long as that is active, which only lasts for 1 turn, I can't displace that unit. I also can't displace Lightbringer since she does have her 3C. So just in case, I went ahead and put heal some Sophia buffs onto Polyol. I didn't really need to though, because I forgot I was going to be buffing anyway. Alright, 3C on Kyura. So at this point I kind of use this opportunity. My options were a little limited on who I could put Spellbound out on. Both Liana and Kyura were immune to debuffs. But I was actually kind of okay with that. Really the big things were targeting people who've already went to maximize the duration as much as I can. Because I need this buff to be active. Because if the Spellbound is active and I choose to swap on them, I will actually swap positions with them. If I don't, it doesn't. So that is the plan. There you go, a bunch of passive. Oh, this Liana's mage. I didn't even realize. I did get a Tenyu Breeze on Lightbringer. It's not a huge difference, but it does get me onto the board a bit faster since the water was in the way. So there you go, faction buff. Start inching our way forward. So yeah, at this point I went ahead and pushed up. I was mostly concerned about Polly losing a life here because Kyra can do pretty good magic damage, and she's not exactly tanky against magic. The other thing I was slightly concerned about is whether or not my opponent had a... actually, it doesn't matter. Range staff actually keeps them... Oh, I think I got mixed up a little bit. For some reason, I thought Kyra's base range with her skills was 4, and then the staff would make it 5, but it's actually 3, and then the staff would make it 4. So no matter what, the Awakened one can counterattack. I do have minus 20 defense, unfortunately, because of the debuffs from the portal. So yeah, my opponent did not actually have the range staff. It actually has the single target staff, which is good. So yeah, proc reflect. So yeah, proc reflect, and then of course I had the crystal mages to help with reflect damage as well, and I was able to counterattack, which was the big important part. So with that, I was able to exchange kills here. So losing Kyra was pretty significant because that means my opponent can't get any additional healing from AoEs. I also don't have to worry about guard bypassing anymore. I did lose the Awakened one, and when she respawns, I'm going to be on a timer. I'll have 3 rounds to kill something with her, and if I don't, she's going to be gone for good. Also, her stats are going to be significantly lowered. Alright, so faction buff here. So yeah, here's the big thing, is the archers hit first, and so they ended up hitting all the angels, and so all the fireball damage went straight to Christiane. Thankfully, I had really high magic defense. I also had the benefit of the flower formation. I did also lose defense, which also didn't help me either. Yeah, if I had one less effulgent, if I had one more effulgent stack, I might have actually died from that. So the good news is we were able to tank it. Even if it did kill, it would have only proc self-res, and that would have made my life a little bit easier regardless. So at this point, I go ahead and push forward. Wasn't really expecting any real damage here, but it was going to heal Discipline Self and then do a hammer heal for Christiane there. Alright, so the key thing here is Liana can't really get anywhere. Her range for active again is only 2, so there's no risk of Audun going again this round. The real thing here is I need to make sure... The real key thing is whether or not Audun moves next round. My opponent's going to have initiative over me because of the kill. Well, one, I'm player 2, and also I have more active units than them at this point, thanks to the assassination. But if Audun moves, my fight's going to become a lot worse, or a lot more difficult, because I won't be able to do the swap because the spellbound will wear off. But if that's not the case, the first action I can do is swap places with Audun and get her away from guard range. So I go ahead and just do Savage Trample here, from all the way in the back. This will overwrite the portal. And I do some extra damage here. I was not expecting kill, though it did pretty good damage. Really, the only thing I was doing this for is if my opponent does go first with Audun next round, I wanted to weaken her as much as possible. Also, the extra terrain here will make it easy for everyone else to catch up and take the center. So go ahead and heal up Christiane here. And my opponent's going to go first. So it's a little psychological, but there's not really much reason to... Well, actually, there is somewhat of risk. Yeah, unless Audun has a way of passively healing, not doing anything with her at this point could risk being AoE'd and killed that way. Because, I mean, 4,400 HP is not a lot. So I think that's kind of the mindset my opponent was in, because my opponent opted to heal. Yeah, if my opponent had opted to not take Black Hole, instead took the her exclusive single target, she could have done like a ranged attack on some other unit, healed herself with that, and used that to teleport away 2 spaces, and that would have at least kept her out of range of the Awakened one. But since that's not the case, it's now my turn. Audun still has Spellbound, So I can go ahead and move in, swap places with her. And I'll do that. I also give her 2 random debuffs. Takes extra damage dealt. Or sorry, damage dealt is decreased, and damage taken is also increased. So this will make it easier for me to get kill here. So I needed to do, you know, over 11,000 damage. I go ahead and do Spellbound, because I'm a fresh awakened one. Get the faction buff up. And here it comes. Yeah, it looked like more than enough. Yep, and at this point I would have applied a debuff to everyone else, refreshed it, and then there's no way my opponent was going to be able to survive at that point. Even with double healers, I have the center, so I was going to be able to just keep my opponent out. And I would have gradually started would have started suplexing the healers out of guard range and just take them out that way. So yeah, quick and easy fight. And not much else to report. Like I said, there's the new characters. There's a new game mode that I have zero interest in. It's kind of like an auto-battler type thing, which isn't a bad thing, but I did see Kong's video about it, and supposedly it was like a 45-minute match, and it apparently just takes so freaking long to do it. I'm just not going to waste my time. Good news is there is new Forbidden Battlegrounds, which I need to go and do. Those are fun. I mainly do the Forbidden Battlegrounds mainly because it's a good source of controllers, and I need as many controllers as I can get. Besides that, like I mentioned before, new characters. We got Sagani and Amadeus. Neither of which I'm going to be summoning this week or this month for. Next month will be collab characters, which I do want. One of them is kind of an interesting tank, but kind of has the same issue as Albedo, where she doesn't really have a faction buff or anything, so her kit's kind of limited. But she does have some interesting things about it that do stand out. But the main thing is the archer, the archer character, who will definitely be going into the box once I get her. There's also, I think, a character that uses like a spear or an axe or something like that. So that can also be kind of interesting, but I'm probably not going to be using her for this particular box. In any case, I'm going to go ahead. Actually, okay, nothing new there. All right, just making sure. All right, in any case, that is it for this. So I am the Depressed Hero. This was Langrisser Mobile Apex Season 14. I'll see you guys next week.